All right, guys, welcome back to Easy Outliners Art. I think we got a fun one today. We're going to take a trip down to Bikini Bottom, and we're going to draw a very familiar character to us. That's Squidward Tentacles. So we're going to draw Squidward, which is a lot of people have done, but what we're going to try to do is after we're going to try and transform our Squidward into a 70s disco guy. So let's head on over and let's take a trip down to Bikini Bottom and see what manifests. All right, you guys, let's go. Bye.
Squidward Tentacles. Here we go. So, looks easy enough, but does take some skill to put Squidward together. I'm going to start by putting a frame of how big I want it to be. I marked my paper actually at the top and at the bottom for how tall I wanted him to be. I just put a little dot from the top and at the bottom so I know the length of his body. Then I make this rectangle that's wider at the top and thinner at the bottom. That's his head because he has a pretty big dome. And the neck is, again, it is like a rectangle shape and it goes wider to thinner. So almost all of those shapes are bigger to smaller going down or wider to narrower going down. And then when we get to his shirt, it's the opposite. It's a rectangle again, and it's from narrow to wide. So I draw that rectangle going outward, then I draw this semicircle underneath it, and that's his that's the top, like his waist area, right? His waist area and his back end. Then we're just taking two lines going down for Squidward's tentacles. We're not gonna show all his tentacles. We're just putting the main two in the front to make him look more human-like, I would say. And I'm rounding those edges on the feet on both sides. We take a rectangular shape, and again I go narrow to wide on that one to make one arm. And this one it's again showing distance, so it's just a little bit bent, but it's still a rectangle shape. So now let's get up to this head here. I gotta fit this round shape inside of this rectangle. I want to make it as big as possible. Mine could be even bigger actually. Like if I wanted to, I'd erase it and make it even bigger because it's marginally bigger, I'd say, than that. You know, a squid. That's the exaggerated part of when you're drawing the squid body, is that head part that's so huge. And so you see I round again outside. I made a little line down and then I do the rounded part for where his cheeks are, where his smile is going to come out. Do the same thing on the other side. You'll notice that like it's almost empty where I drew in between, like a blank space, and that's because that's where his eyes are. I'm putting those two ovals in for the eyes. That's our left eye, and this is our right eye that we're drawing in. Or I should say the opposite for if it was his eyes. Now I'm gonna cut those ovals off at the top because the head actually goes over those. So we're gonna go across here, and then I'm gonna actually erase those ovals at the top. I don't need those. I'm gonna line those over. So what I did was I put the eyelids there, and then you see I'm erasing the top of the oval. The eyelid is like the part that is a line below. I measured that like maybe just above the half point, or the half of the oval for the eyes. And now I'm putting those wrinkles at the top of his head. So I just draw three lines, one shorter, then a longer one above it, and then a short one again at the top. Put some spots for some texture on his head because he's got no hair. Then rectangle shapes again. I bend them a tiny bit inward to make those eyes, to make his to make his eyes have a little bit of an oval shape that's just like more 3D, right? You don't want it to look flat. And trace over my lines again so that I can see them clearly. Right here again, you see that I left an empty space there. That's because I know his nose is gonna come down in that empty space. Bring it back up. And now we're gonna put that line going across for his smile. So I just draw this line right identical to the line like tracing the same guidelines as where the mouth is. And then I color those eyes in. Going back over where his neck is, bring it down. Now the one thing here is that, first let me erase this nose portion so I can see the nose clearly. Then I'm gonna make a little triangle down at the bottom because right where the collar of his shirt is, it's not rounded. He's got a little V-neck. So let's put in the collar of the shirt also, which is also just triangles. So we're just doing, we've just done ovals a lot for his facial features. We did a lot of rectangles for the frame. And now this shirt is gonna take some triangles. It's a triangular corner, and then I make it go across. And then you can see here that we're trying to get his sleeve on his shirt. I'd make a rounded edge because again, I wanna give an effect that's more 3D than just a flat image. So I round the edge of the shirt so when his arm comes out or his tentacle comes out, then it will look more realistic than if it was just flat on the paper, or it will give it a little more shape. I just follow my lines that I already drew for the frame because these are pretty simple. And I'm gonna leave a tiny space here in case his tentacle, again, that's gonna go bent elbow and into the waist. Hopefully, yeah, I left the right space so that I'm not gonna block his tentacle. So there we go, bring that down and then make it wider at this part and just draw it going inward. Again, here's the elbow. It's gonna come up right here. These are two identical lines. They're parallel to each other. In other words, they are the same line, but just separated by distance. And I widen it again right here. And you notice I don't let this touch. It has a little bit of space in between, so it looks like his hands are folded inward. So one line goes down a little further than the other, and the other one rounds all the way around. We take that semicircle for his body, bring it in, and this is the tentacle in the foreground or in the front, and here's the other side, so it looks like he has two legs even though it's his tentacles. Go to the bottom where the feet are, and I just I don't make a straight line, I make it a little bit rounded, and then I make a big round bump, and that is for where his feet are. Barely see. Then I go across on this side, do the same thing. Rounded, and then a bump up at the top and across the bottom. And those are his feet. I guess you can see it more clearly when my hand moves away. And now behind him, there are more tentacles. So I go ahead and I just draw those overlapping on the back. And that way it looks like you can see that he actually has a ton of tentacles. It's not just 2 feet in front and arms above. I draw some ovals. That's for the suction cups that just like an octopus would have, that are kind of put on his hands and his feet, tentacles, built to his character. And we go up top, try and draw over some of these lines to make them clearer. Around the edges, you can't see anything that I'm doing, but now you can. And that's Squidward Tentacles right there. So now we have Squidward. We're gonna trace it over. And remember, most of the time, your lines will just basically stand out enough that you don't even really need to erase the pencil marks if you're just drawing for fun. But if you do want it to show people, you probably do want to do that and erase most of the pencil. I have my Squidward here, and now I'm going to move on to transforming it into disco mode. So one of the things I like to do a lot is I just like to doodle. So a lot of times when I have drawings or even something that's printed, it's like just like when you go to a bus stop and you see someone who's drawn over the poster on the bus stop. Like, probably if I sat at a bus stop with a bunch of markers, that would be me, but I don't. So what I do like to do is if I have a picture in front of me and I'm doing something else, like talking on the phone, or if I'm in some sort of situation where I'm just sitting and listening to something, I doodle a lot. So what I do is I add on to a drawing or a picture that's already there. And this is what I did with our Squidward here. I was like, let's color some hair on him. So right now you can see right through it, but when we use a pen, then it's gonna darken. And all I'm doing is drawing loop-de-loop, like circle lines, because back in the 70s, people liked big hair. No matter who you were, your hair was like, if it was curly, it was puffy and big. Big curly puffy hair. And I did a little part on the side of it there. And then one of the other things that's a trademark of 70s disco is a big fat mustache. So I'm gonna give Squidward just scribbling up and down, short lines up and down. You scribble and there is a big long mustache. Give it a little edge on the other side. And we have his mustache continued. Now I'm going to go for that big long neck. We should add something in there. So I think we're gonna put what we call an ascot. Big style move in the 70s was having an ascot. It looked like a scarf, but it was like a little handkerchief around the neck that a lot of people wore, women and men. It was unisex, I guess you would say. And so I'm just going to draw the frame of that, but I can add in some detail to that after. On his collar here, I'm going to just do some circles, like oval shapes, and then put lines through them. I could, if I had more, like a bigger picture, I'd probably add more detail to this, but I'm making a chain. And if you just do those shapes, an oval and then a line through it, then an oval again and a line through it. If you look closer, you can see how that is. It gives the impression of that chain, even though it's not fully detailed. Again, big jewelry like that was one of the things that started way back in the 70s. He's got initials on there. Again, if I had more space and if I was taking my time more, I might probably draw 2 B's in there that looked a little bit neater than what I have, but they'll do the trick. And that BB is so that we know that he's, you know, a lot of people on their necklaces either have their name or the place where they are from, something that represents them. So I put BB for Bikini Bottom, since he is Bikini Bottom's Disco King here. We put a bracelet on his hand, same shape that I was talking about with the necklace. I did some oval shapes and put some lines in there. Once you color that up, it'll have enough detail that it'll look like jewelry. Let's give him a fancy watch over here too. Just put a circle on there. Again, you could add more details if you have a bigger picture, or even if you just want to add in more and take the time to. Since I'm just doodling, like I said, we're just adding like little things here and there. You know, and these tentacles won't do, so what we're gonna do right here is we're gonna add in a belt, and we're gonna have to flare these pants out and turn them into some 70s bell-bottom pants. So let's put the buckle of the belt right there. I'm imagining a line going across, but then I have to put the little notches in for the belt loops. So those are all just lines coming down. Easy to build, easy to make. I'm shaping where he has like the sewing, the stitches on the pants, and putting those details in so I can remember those. And then here's the flared out part on those pants, and I know what you're thinking. That's great, you're doodling that, but you already drew that with pen, so now it's not gonna work. And that is why when we trace over this with the pen, we're gonna have to color over that part. And we talked about it before, using negative space. We're gonna have to turn whatever is black into white in terms of the details on there. You'll see what I mean. Let's give him some pockets on his shirt, because this shirt's not gonna stay t-shirt. People were a little more fancy than that in the 70s. We're gonna have to give him a button-down shirt. So he's got a pocket on each side. If you don't know how to make a pocket, it's a square with a triangle at the bottom, basically. That's the shape of it, imagine that. And then I put another triangle as like the stitch onto the button on the top of it. And here's these two lines straight down, and just put some circles in there. And we got his buttons. Now, I think he's ready for some details. So we're gonna put the marker in and draw some lines for shading on the ascot. Trace over my BB for bikini bottom, and here's the pants. I leave white space wherever I want to define where his pockets are, where his pant leg is on each side, and then I added this fancy shirt for him. Hope you like it. Hey guys, don't forget to like and subscribe if you enjoyed this video. Thanks for watching.